Alright, welcome to another episode of Big Bun Game Club. We are still going to talk about Killer 7, but actually, before we get into this, I have a slight announcement to make about uh, this video series. So, I decided for people who are a sub on Twitch, if you sub to me on Twitch or my Patreon, for $5, you'll get an exclusive video series of me playing the game that we're doing in this video series. So
Ah,
it's only gonna be like once a week. It'll be one portion of the gameplay of it. Like it'll be like an hour, but because I'll be playing it on and off anyway. But I just uploaded one video yesterday, so that's up there. If you're a Twitch sub or patron, it's up there. But
cool.
that's what's gonna happen moving forward. So the next game we'll play, go on from there. Next week I'm probably gonna be still playing this game, so I'll have another one to upload for
That'll be
Killer
fun because
7.
it's like people can see exactly what you're complaining about.
Yeah, and they'll know, like they'll see the nonsense. But a lot
Yeah,
of it's
yeah,
probably
I
like
can
user
imagine.
user end. But
Yeah. So if we just get into it, how are you liking the game so far?
I'm
Like
I'm
now.
so there was one part. This one was I didn't record this, but it's the Ayanami fight that's in the parking lot.
Yeah.
That fight, almost like I hated that fight because it's such bullshit. She doesn't have to reload that often. She just constantly shoots and runs, and you have like no cover if you even if you wanted it. So the whole time I'm going through all my characters, thinking which one is the best one. I thought Kaede would be pretty good, which she was. I ended up using her at the last attempt, the latest attempt, because I was able to like kind of time when she chose into the spotlight. So that boss fight was pissing me off. But then they throw her in again in the house that you go to, and I think they intentionally made that fight, the second fight, way easier because they knew that that fight in the parking lot was such a pain in the ass. They wanted you to like get like a cathartic revenge on it. Like, oh, you gave me like shit. Now it's my turn to just like fucking gun her down.
Hey, you know what's funny? Okay, how did you ultimately beat her the first time?
The first one is Kaede because she had that
You beat her
sniper.
with her.
Yeah.
So she must have a really strong. How many times did you have to shoot her?
I honestly lost track of how many because like there were a lot of like pot shots I was doing as well, but I don't know. I would say like
More
maybe
than 10? Less
yeah,
than 10?
probably more than 10. Probably like between like maybe 15.
How did you hit her? Like, Coyote is not good for. Because, like, were you shooting her from far away? Like, how were you hitting her?
I I was kind of leading the shots. Like I was kind of shooting where she was gonna go instead of where she was. Like in
Yeah.
between that range, there it's really fucking weird. I can't really describe it because a lot of it kind of felt like luck. It was just like, okay, I'm just shooting and hopefully one of
Okay.
these bullets will hit. Because there were times where it's like, okay, I'll shoot like where she's going because maybe there'll be like some delay when the bullet intersects. And that was the case, but I think there's just some like room that you have to kind of know when you can and can't hit
Okay.
her.
I have a theory. I don't know if it's true. Um, I'm really surprised you could beat this because what I'm really interested in is how did you dodge her attacks? Because
I didn't.
what did you do? So how did you not? Oh, you
I
just kept losing health
Yeah,
powers.
I just tanked it. So I just kept using the blood to refill my health.
Uh,
So I was doing it strategically, and I think there was one thing I kind of noticed. Depending on where she's running, and you run either behind her or like counter to where she's going, sometimes you might get lucky and not get hit by any of the bullets. It's kind of weird with that kind of like direction. The other thing is that
yeah.
if you shoot her, she doesn't shoot. So like if you land a shot, she just doesn't hit. She doesn't shoot for a while.
Right.
So I was playing it so much, I got to the point where I was shooting her multiple times that kind of stopped a few of the bullets. So I reduced the amount of times she shot me, but I still tanked some hits.
Yeah, it's funny because my strategy changed literally. I died probably 12 times on that. Like, I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
die, but like a bunch of people died, and my strategy kept changing. And so first I started using just Dan because like he's one of the strongest with his pistol. And like I was hitting her, but it was like this is taking so long. and I kept dying because like Dan's not fast enough to run away from like when she because what she does is she starts shooting and she runs along, right? So you kind of have to run opposite away from her so that when she comes like she'll go to she'll start shooting, right? And if you run away, then you can kind of clear where she's shooting. But Dan's not fast enough. So I actually switched to Khan and
Oh,
like
that's a
I
good idea.
Khan has like a pseudo like he has a pseudo dodge when you do his quick turn. So like have do you use quick turns, right? Where you like hold run but then press B?
Oh yeah, I've mostly used it with Kevin. Yeah,
Right.
Kevin, because he does like a backflip.
So yeah, and Khan rolls. So
Oh,
like you
okay.
could kind of dodge the bullets that way. But it was so fucking hard to hit her. And I had this realization, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it seemed like you just shoot the light pole. You don't shoot her. You shoot the light pole. Like
Oh,
when she's
really?
under the light pole, you shoot the light pole, and she takes damage.
Ah, you know what?
I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, I would like to like replay that boss to see if that's true. If I could go back to see, I would love to do that because it would tie into what the ghost said right before you start the boss fight, where it's like, oh, turn off the lights or whatever the fuck. Like he said something about the lights.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. The hint didn't make sense.
It only the only thing that made sense about that hint was that like I knew that it was kind of alluding to like the light would be like where you could hit her,
Yes.
and that's how I took it. But if it was like, oh, shoot the light pole, then I guess that would make sense. I don't know. I'll have to like replay that boss to see, I guess.
So ultimately, how I beat her was I used mask and I just shot the light poles when she would go under them, and it literally took 3 hits.
Oh my god. That fucking physics. Besides,
Exactly.
that was the first character I used, and it was awful. It was just like, okay, shoot. Oh, she moved right before the thing even like landed on her. It's like, oh, okay, like, oh, that
Yeah,
made it. Oh my god, that. I thought he'd be
it's
like, he's
literally
like the
3 hours.
worst.
Yeah, I literally it was 3 shots, and I was like, oh, and that was the end of it, and I was like, what the fuck?
I
So
was so
that's so
close.
funny.
If I kept dying, if I was still in that boss fight by the time I did this recording, I might have said, you know, if I can't beat it by the next episode after this, I would have stopped playing. But I luckily beat it. But that
Yeah.
that oh man, but I that
So
no, you go.
I was gonna say, how did you beat her the second time then?
I was using coyote, not coyote, con. I was using con a lot because
Yeah.
my line of thinking. So when I went to the house portion, and this happened kind of in the amusement park as well. The enemies that are smaller enemies that like shoot out eggs that become other smiles. For some reason, like I couldn't kill them. Like I tried shooting the yellow spot, thinking that, oh, that's the weakness, like that big yellow oval in the big smiles. But like it was taking like obscenely amount of bullets. So I was like, okay, I don't think this is doing any damage. I don't know why it's not. But I switched to Coyote, and I was like, oh, I'm just not Coyote Khan, shooting like those enemies very quickly and just like blasting through them. I was like, oh, Khan is great for this. Fuck all these other characters. So I stuck with Coyote Khan a lot. I keep mixing those two names. Then when I went to that second fight with her, I was still using Coyote Khan at that time, and that was like the best. It was just shooting her, then reloading, and just blasting her down. It was so satisfying, cathartic. It was so like just insanely fast with him. Like I just blasted her
Yeah.
through that fight.
Yeah, and the great thing about Khan is great for enemies when you're like have a horde of enemies because he doesn't have a lot of stopping power, but because his bullets hit so much, like even those enemies with the wings, right?
Yeah,
Because his bullets hit so much, he flips them around super easy. If you all you have to do is spray, so you just get like if you just like shoot from left to right, he'll flip them around without you don't even have to really try because
yeah.
he's ready to fire so fast.
That and like the reload is so fast. Like it really helps in tight
Yeah,
spots because like I loved Kaede for a long time, but it's like her reload is slow. Mask is okay because at least it's like one shot. Like the reload's fast, but it's way too often. So it's like, okay, Mask is only good for like dealing with like like a smaller group or whatever. But Coyote's is great, and then Coyote and Con. Coyote, I kind of start liking him a lot the more I upgraded his abilities, and I loved his down attack as well. Like I loved a lot of these other attacks that you get as you level them up. Uh,
Yeah.
Kevin,
Coyotes.
I like
Oh,
Kevin. Is
I was
this
gonna say Coyote's great for hitting weak points. Like
yeah.
his, you don't even have to really hit it. If you just are kind of in the area, you just shoot and it'll get it every time.
Yeah, the only character I don't really feel any of the upgrade is Kevin. His power is like level 4,
Yeah.
and I just don't feel any different than he did like when he was level 3 or level 2. The only thing might be his disabilities, but that's just it. Uh, but I did love the Garden House stage a lot. That one, like when I first started, it felt kind of overwhelming with all the stuff you had to go to. Like first, there's almost every stage where you start. It's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff to do. You don't know where to start. But that one I kind of like the atmosphere, and it kind of hit me when I was playing this that since Shinji Mikami was working on this game alongside Studio 51, it does have a lot of like Resident Evil aspects to it. Like it does have a lot of that puzzle aspect of it. Like it felt that way with with the rings. Like the fact that like, oh, this is an area. This has to do something with the ring, and just going through all these rings. It's like this is something that you could expect in a Resident Evil game. Like, oh, you use this, and then you see an animation about it. So I really liked a lot. Like that, it hit a
Yeah,
lot more in
I don't.
that stage.
Yeah, I don't know if I said this last time or if I was just thinking it, but even the combat is kind of Resident Evil-ish sometimes because like there's times where you just want to like knock down an enemy and run away from them instead of like trying to engage with all of them. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so
And you still have
yeah,
to
it's
like
like
stop
that.
and shoot as well.
Yeah, right. That's true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
So it has
I
the
mean
same
it's
tank
exactly the same.
controls. The oh the
It's what Gun Survivor should have been, really. Do you remember that game? Resident Evil Gun
no.
Survivor?
Was that on the Game
Oh,
Boy?
it was a piece of shit.
No, that's Gaiden.
No, it was on PlayStation.
That
Yeah, yeah, no. It was a shitty PlayStation game. I'll send you a video on it and you'll laugh. Um,
I
but it
think
was like a
maybe
really shitty game.
maybe Angry Video Game Nerd did a video on it. Maybe I don't know, I well,
Actually, he 100% did.
all right. So what was you gonna say?
I feel like there's a big delay. Is there a
Yeah,
delay right
I
now?
I think
Okay,
there
wait.
might be,
Whose
but
problem is it? What's that?
I think there is a delay. So
Yeah, it's a huge one. I can tell just from the way you just replied. Should we try to disconnect and reconnect?
yeah, let's try that.
Okay. All right. I'm Xing out. What's up?
Not much. Is the
Okay.
delay?
All right. Let's try it. Okay. When I count to three, count with me. Okay.
All right.
One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three.
Okay. That time was good.
Okay, that's good.
We're
All right. Uh,
back.
yeah, we're back. I didn't
Sorry. What
stop
were we talking about?
recording, so like it'd be easy to put it all together. It's fine. But
Okay. We were talking about Resident Evil comparisons.
yeah, that like I was also gonna talk about the boss fight that like the very last boss fight of the encounter mission with the white haired dude. That fight, I love that fight. It because like in MGS3 you have that like there's an Easter egg with Ocelot where you have to do a quick draw with him, and I never understand how to like do it. I'm bad at the timing, so every time I do it I fuck up, and like Ocelot gets mad. Whatever, fuck it. This one has a visual representation of like what to look for, so they just have a pigeon there. It's like, oh, as soon as the bird flies, just shoot. And I love that because at first I thought it was gonna be just stupid how easy it would be. Like, oh, he's just gonna fly, but the bird does trick you up a little bit. Like it just kind of hops up, then it's like
Yeah.
that doesn't count. But I just love that fight, just how simple it was. It almost felt like it was too simple than I thought it was gonna lead to a second phase of that fight, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it speaks to, and I'm a lot farther than you, because I just like I beat that like I beat the Blackburn estate, whatever the hell it is, and then I just kept playing for like hours. So I'm like at the very end of the game, and it just very much that moment, that like boss fight, really speaks to how much of just like an art project this game is. Like it's like it was like it's so fucking stupid, but it's so awesome at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. Like the
That's
way I feel
every
about this game
boss.
is like yeah, like but like this game in general is I fucking love everything about it, but I would never recommend it to anyone.
I'd only
It's
recommend it to
fucking weird.
people if they want like it is. I wouldn't even like. I would recommend like if they're just looking for something just that's like bizarre or something that like stands out or like if they played No More Heroes or one of the more standard Suda 51 games like mostly to see it's like what I do to a lot of people. Like if they tell me like, oh, I love movies, or I love like, oh, I love this kind of movie, I just tell them to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey. And if they love it, or if they like sit through it, you can kind of see what kind of movies they like, depending on how they watch that film. If they fast forward through it, it's like okay, they're more about like an action film kind of guy. So if someone were to
Yeah,
tell me like, oh, I love Suda 51, no, a Lollipop Chainsaw is great, it's like yeah, play Killer 7.
yeah, but I think honestly, even people who like those games, this might be too weird for them. Like this game almost transcends weirdness. It's so fucking weird. Like nothing makes any sense.
Yeah,
Like it's just so fucking bizarre. But
and
like it kind of makes sense too. And like even like little details like the gibberish that the dead people speak because like it's not gibberish and if you really listen they're saying something completely different than what the subtitles are saying.
oh,
I don't know what the point is,
I
but like
it might
like
it
they're
might just
saying words. Go
oh
ahead.
I was just gonna say it might just be like to because this game kind of fucks with you thinking like oh do you trust with your eyes like do you trust what you see what the game's telling you or what you're listening to in the game. It's kind of just kind of fucking with you like in a lot of like stories they always have like an unreliable narrator and this game kind of has an unreliable narrator so you're kind of trying to understand like the own world of the game so like because the guy goes into like
Yeah,
this whole like multiple personality kind of bullshit, that kind of stuff.
yeah, but who's the narrator? That's the thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And actually, you haven't gotten to the part yet. In the next part of the game, okay, a lot of things I said last time where I was like, okay, like the anime cutscenes are like a different world. All of that fucking goes out the window in like 5 seconds. Like after you beat this level you're in, you're gonna be like, what in the fuck? So like, they reveal more details that just make it more confusing.
Because like so it's interesting to me so I'm playing the GameCube game so after you beat the Blackburn estate it just tells you to like oh switch discs and all that's like okay so like this is where you do that and the second you put disc 2 in the game definitely feels completely different from like the first disc because like the second disc like there's way more
Oh,
like animated cutscenes than it was in disc 1 like so like because it's leading into like the island where you have to go to an island because they show you an advertisement for like the Power Rangers pretty much or this game's version of the Power Rangers and it's like oh shit like this is like
yeah.
completely different and it keeps like this is how presentation wise because usually the game saves the animation for like very select scenes and they're very like quick but
That
here it's like oh here's like
like
longer scenes.
yeah. That makes it super interesting that that's where the disc changes, actually. That like makes it make more sense, and I wonder, I would love to see if the first disc was even full. I bet this fucking pseudo was like, we need to make it 2 discs because this is when like the reality shifts. And you'll see, like, cause you're on the level, you're in like it's in Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you started the level yet?
I'm at the very beginning of it. Like I just moved to the first save room.
Okay. Do you talk to everyone?
I I do. The only one I kind of I kind of don't is the guy with the mask, because it's like he gives tips, so it's like if I know what to do, I don't usually talk to him, and I don't want to use my blood with him either.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about. Oh, you're talking. Okay, I'm sorry. You're talking about Jun Hoon,
Yeah,
right? Okay, so you talk to Uezaru and everyone, right?
yeah. I always talk to him. I always love what he has to say, so I always talk to
Okay.
him.
All right. Forget I said anything because I stopped talking to him
Oh,
because he gives hints too, and I was like, I just want to figure this shit out on my own. So I stopped talking to him completely for a
oh.
while, but it kind of screwed me over, and you'll see why. You already talked to him. You'll see why.
Is it?
But don't worry about it.
I tell me if I'm right or wrong, I guess, but because I talked to him immediately when I went to the Dominican Republic, and he was like, "Oh, but I'll give you this or whatever," and so I'm assuming it's that.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, because like
Exactly.
because the thing is that like he does give hints, but he doesn't give hints all the time. Sometimes he just says whatever. So I'm always interested in say. That's why like in Travis Strikes Again, like there's a character that's called like Glitchface or whatever, and I love talking to him because he just gives random like knowledge that's just that has nothing to do with the game or the story. It just gives you like, oh yeah, like when you order from a restaurant, do you really trust what they give you? How do you know they don't like spit in your food? You know, sometimes you don't want to trust the chef that's giving you your food. It's like, okay, like all right, and it's like sometimes people
Yeah.
measure
What?
like it gives you like weird stuff like that, and then sometimes the only time he kind of gives into the story is like in the later levels. He's like, oh yeah, this guy wanted to make this great game, and he just couldn't because the publisher wanted to do something else with it. It's a shame, whatever. It's like, oh, okay. So that's why I love talking about it to Iziwaru. Is this? It's the same kind of like vibe. It's like, oh, this guy's gonna say like random shit that is either gonna be nonsense or a hint, or it's gonna be whatever. That's like Suda talking to the game or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So just keep talking, especially in this level. Keep talking to him.
I also like talking to
You'll see.
Travis too.
Um,
He's also fun to talk to.
I always talk to Travis. Travis is great because I think Travis is important to the story for some reason, like very integral to like the whole thing. Um, but I've yet to see. Um, I'm like at the very last part of the game, so like
Oh,
I'm gonna get all of the details. But it's like literally everything that happens is just making it more confusing.
I feel like
Everything that's revealed makes it make less sense.
I feel like the last game club we're gonna do on this game, I'm gonna come with like a big like dartboard, and it's like, oh well, look at this. I'm gonna like put all these this little evidence
Yeah.
around. It's like it's gonna be like the meme with Charlie from Always Sunny, like, look at this. Like,
Yeah.
I
But
do
yeah,
like that as well. So it's interesting.
I mean, do you have any theories about what the fuck is like? Even like the whole thing with like Curtis Blackburn is like, I guess he was like in there, like he was like Dan's mentor, and then he set him up to be killed. But like what? Like any like harvest children or
What's
something?
What's interesting about this? So the whole time, because when you see the very first boss, it's that angel anime lady that looks so like goofy, whatever. And when I saw like Ayanami, I was like, oh, this she's just another goofy thing. So when you beat her the second time, it's revealed that it's a mask, and I'm like, I was like
So funny.
so on board with that face being so out of place, and then it's like, oh no, it's a mask. It's like it makes sense. It's a mask, but it's just the game is so off the walls. You're just so willing to believe it's real, and then once they reveal that it's not, it's like, oh, so there's that. And I think with Blackburn and why he's the mentor, Izuaru tells you like right before that. I don't know if it's him or Travis, but I think it's Izawaru. But he says like that how he's such a weird guy because he trains he harvests all these girls. He gets all these girls and all this stuff. He likes the girls way more than the boys. He has nothing to do with them. He doesn't care. He kind of sends them off to die, pretty much. So that line that leads up to why like he trains Dan then kills him because he's like, yeah, I have no use for him anymore. I mean, he's more interested in the girls. That's why they stay around. That's why like probably Ayanami like lasts longer than Dan would in comparison.
Oh, I completely missed that. Like he was like training. He's training like child soldiers. I thought he was stealing their organs.
No,
I thought that was the whole point.
I think he does that for the boys because he kills the boys, but he keeps the girls around because he likes girls. But he kills the boys because when you do that boss fight, you have that he has that whole like studio where he just kind of empties the bodies and he just kind of hangs them up, and those are all probably all the boys that he killed over the years. Because because like one of the ghosts talks about that, like, oh, yeah, have you seen the dead bodies in the back? It's because like this and that, and he has no use for the boys, but he has all the use for the girls. That's why he keeps them around, whatever. But I've also was thinking that because there is a semi thread with this because this kind of lines up with the Omeda story previous. That kind of ends with the government getting intervening with it and like trying to get like Almeida to come with them to a lab or whatever. And I'm wondering if all of this is all like a result of some lab experiment. Like all these people were just like test subjects that the government was making to be an army that they were gonna use to like take out world leaders or whatever. Like Killer 7 could have been a branch that maybe was disbanded at one point. Maybe they left the government, they got out and they're doing their own thing and they're just like whatever. I don't know, like it, because it kind of also makes me wonder the because now that they introduced the that that superhero group that you're trying to kill the artists to kill them, it's like there. I feel like there's this like subplot of like government like experiments that are like classified that I don't even think the game's gonna even go into a lot of detail with. It's just gonna. I think it's a very subtle hint, and you'll never know if it's true or not because it's classified probably. But that's my theory so far. I think it's
But
all.
isn't Heaven Smile a terrorist group though?
But yeah, but they could have been a product that they did. Like they could have made the Heaven Smiles, and the Heaven Smiles just went off to do their own thing, and they were too big to control. Like they can't control them.
But I thought that dude Kun Lan, is that his name? The like the first guy, the angel target. Isn't he the one that creates them? I thought that was the whole
Oh,
thing is that he creates the Heaven Smile, and that's why he's in the background of everything, right? Did I make that up?
you might. Well, you might have a point because he does show up in the backgrounds in like a few scenes. So maybe, or it could just be the government created him and that he created the Heaven Smiles. Like it could be a whole hierarchy of like of the origin story. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'll have to like see how the ending goes, and then I'll be
And
curious to
you
see
know
like.
what you're saying? What you're saying? I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it, but that kind of makes sense, and you'll see why.
All right,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it without giving anything away.
because the only reason why that kind of stuck with me was in the in the Blackburn Manor, you see Almeida again, and then Almeida like talks about like government experiments and all this shit. Like he was talking about how the government wanted to take him back, and I was like, you know, there really hasn't been any other areas where they call back a previous stage. Like it did that recently because I think somewhere in the amusement park you see the two like prime minister people, like the ones where you shoot their
Yeah.
heads or whatever. Like you see them again, but you
I
don't.
mean, yeah.
But other than that, like the first 2 or 3 stages, you don't really see any recurring thread. It's just kind of there. There's I don't know, like I feel like there is like a small thing that's connecting these things more and more. But I don't know, like again, I kind of also feel that a lot of stuff that people wouldn't pick up because I watched a lot of Kubrick and like David Lynch, so I'm just used to this oddball kind of nonsense that some things do. But I don't know. That's what stood out to me.
I don't know. A lot of shit seems kind of random. Um, but I guess we'll see. I'm gonna watch like a million people analyze this game after I'm done. I'm gonna try to beat it tonight so I can just start. I want to just see what people have to say about this game because it makes utterly no sense to me.
Yeah,
um,
I can't wait
but
to see
like,
that either. As
uh,
well.
oh, side note. Remember when I was like, "Oh, don't spoil the Almeida fights for me"?
Yeah.
That was the worst fight in the whole game.
I
It's so fucking
I
stupid.
hated it because I knew what to do, but it's like, oh, you're shooting it, but it's like it's not in the right position because like there was like he was like right in front of me, but I saw the weak point right behind him, so I was like, okay, maybe I could shoot the weak point from here, like in between like these big gaps, like not like these little tiny gaps where it's like, okay, obviously a GameCube game is not gonna have that be a part where you can shoot, but these bigger parts that you think you could, it's like, oh no, you can't do it. So you have to go through this ambulance to get to like the right angle where he's like not even facing you to get to it. I hated that fight because it was just like I knew what to do and the game just had all this bullshit around. It's like fuck this, fuck that.
No, it's way simpler than that. I think you were thinking about it wrong because all you have to do is draw him out and then just run around him, and then you shoot it, and then he's done.
Yeah, but like
It literally took me 15 seconds, like not even an exaggeration.
yeah, no, like the second time it took me that short too. Is just that I was just doing it like head on, like he was coming right at me in the ambulance. I was like, okay, I'll just shoot his weak point from
Yeah,
here because I see it. But it's like, no, you do have to like lure him in and just
it was
run
murky.
around, yeah. And it's like, it's just whatever. I was just kind of like doing a more of a direct approach when you were supposed to go like around him to do it. But whatever. It's that fight I didn't really like. That fight and then the fight with the fucking brains I hated. Those two fights I could do without. Even the one in the parking lot I could kind of stomach, but the one with the heads, that one just drove me up the wall. Like, oh, okay, like especially after you get like the guy who you have to like get him to flinch to shoot his head. It's like, come on, like this is bullshit. Just let me shoot the tie and him do and like bow down for me to shoot the weak point.
I didn't hate that one. I thought it was fine.
But I do want to say this. I started playing Persona 2, and
Oh Jesus.
no, this game is so fucking bizarre in how different it is from Persona 3 and 4. Like, I would say you might like this one a little bit more. It's just the beginning's kind of rough. In the sense that they have you kind of go all over the place just to go back outside where you started, but it has random encounters in this, so there's no like there's no ambushes in this game. So it's like okay, like you just run around and an enemy will just show up. But what is kind of cool about this game is that you can have a party of 5 people, and you can have these fusion attacks. So like you could do like uh the game will either give you them just randomly, or you'll just get them by how you input your party. So the game gives you like for your turn cycle, it's like all right, this character I'll have him do a fire attack. I'll have the other character do like an earth attack, which is a physical attack, whatever, and I'll have the third party member do like a wind attack. And if they go and if that happens to be a combo attack, it'll say, "Oh, you unlocked a new fusion skill with this." So like it does that, and then the way that the turn cycle is way better too. It's like you just input the turns one by one, and then the turns go afterwards. Like you say, "Oh, do you like this input?" You say yes, then it's like it just goes. I like the combat way more in this. It's way more strategic than Persona would be as well. And it does a weird thing with the conversation skills too. Like you can pair your party members to try to get shadows to either join your team or to give you information or items or whatever. So it's way more interesting than the other Persona games afterwards, and it kind of is like the only Persona game that feels weird. The only that's kind of fucked up is there's two Persona 2 games, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. Innocent Sin never got released in America. It only got a Japanese release. But Eternal Punishment, which is a sequel to Innocent Sin, got released in America. So it's like you get to play the sequel of the story, so it makes no sense because the first game is only in Japan. So it's like, what's the point? But they re-released it eventually on the PSP, so that's the version I'm playing. But the combat is way better, and I'm liking it way more. There's no social link bullshit, and the characters are actually way more interesting, kinda, because they're not tropey. They're not like anime tropey characters, like Persona 4. They're all talking about like fucking. The thing that I know about, the only thing I know about Persona 2 is that they talk a lot about Nazis because the main bad guy is Hitler in this game. Which I don't know why. I don't know like
What the hell? You just
He just shows
Is
up.
it set in like World War II?
No, it's so
Is
weird.
it like
I
or is it just like Hitler's just alive?
he just shows up. Like I don't know the context. I was watching a Did He Know Gaming on it, and it just shows like, oh yeah, and like because I think it's the American re-release. They censor him. They give him sunglasses, and they change the swastikas to like something else, and they call him Fuhrer.
I have to look at this.
Because
What the fuck?
the thing that's weird, that's like really fucking bizarre, is that the very beginning of the game, a kid greets you and does the Nazi salute and says, "Our principal is great. You should love our principal." It's like, what? Like, but again, I also don't know if he's just doing a normal wave, but it's like it is this most weird shit.
This is a fucking joke. This is just it's just Hitler. Can you
Yeah.
see it?
No.
Well, it's just Hitler, just like with an anime grin.
Yeah.
Who did this?
Like it is so weird. And after I saw that and like Did He Know Gaming, I was like, I want to play this game. I want to know why he's in this game, because the only thing they show you the principal. The principal dies at the end of the first stage, but the main villain is called Joker, and this might be the only thing that might be kind of bullshit. So this game talks about how there's all these rumors about this thing called the Joker game, where if you call your cell phone number, like if you pick up your phone and you call your own number, you'll hear Joker, and you'll summon him, and if you don't give him your wish of an ideal, you become like a stone. You pretty much die afterwards, whatever. So the main characters have a dream, a collective dream together, and they're like, they wake up from this dream like, wow, that dream is weird. It must be true. Let's do the Joker game. And it's like, this is like you're already accepting the dream is true, and like what you heard in your dream is like the truth. It's not like gibberish or whatever. They all accept it. So they do the Joker game, and the Joker shows up, and it's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you because I want revenge. I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch. And it's like, what? Like, what? Why is the Joker so angry at us out of nowhere? And then the Joker just leaves, and then like you see the principal talking to Joker, and it is the weirdest fucking story, and I don't know where it's gonna go. So it's very interesting in that regard that I don't know what the fuck's going on, and the game is much more interesting in an RPG sense, because like your persona only gets XP if the persona does a skill. If you don't use your persona at all, it doesn't gain XP either. So it gives you good like motivation to use both characters. I streamed it yesterday, so like I have the archive on my Twitch, but that that whole combat system is so weird, and it's like I I wish I kind of it made me hate Persona more. I wish the game stayed the way Persona 2 played. Persona 2 has the best gameplay, and it's like 3 I love 3, but 2 is like it's challenging my love for 3. It's like it's so the tone of it is so like dark and weird. It's like I love it. I love the characters, the music. The music feels like Street Fighter music. I don't know why it feels this way, but it's like it's great. It's like I'm loving it more and more each time I play it. I can't wait to play more because it also feels a lot more like a SMT game than a Persona game. Like 3 introduces the S links and like the RPG combat that it's been a mainstay, but Persona 2 is like completely different. The only one the only thing I heard is Persona 1 sucks ass. So it's like, okay, I'm not playing that then. But two's been pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
I say fuck Persona because Persona 4 is everyone's favorite, so the whole series can go suck a ball. I'll never play it again.
You know what?
I might try SMT, but Persona can suck balls. I never want to play it.
Two is like really. I would go as far as to say the people who love Persona 4 probably hate 2 because 2 is probably like nowhere close to what 4 is. But the 4 is just it's just a very like that one. It really feels like Atlas just wanted Persona to be more mainstream. Like they wanted more normies to play Persona, so it's like, oh, we'll just make this fucking game anime and go with that.
Is it's like some pedophile shit. It's bizarre. Like it's just weird. I don't. It's like it's okay. Wait a second. It's not outwardly weird, but when you think about it, it's like this game is fucking weird. It's fucked up and like makes no sense.
It's
Like
the thing that is also kind of weird. Like, there's a lot of things in 4 that kind of tainted the series because they redid Persona 3, Persona 3 Portable, and this one's a little more controversial because they added a female main character. So this one is like the only Persona game where you can
in Persona 3.
yeah, they re-released it for the PSP, so they added a new protagonist, which is a female protagonist. Same story,
Right, you said
but
that it's like your twin or whatever.
yeah, like it's like the same story, it's just they just changed the gender, but they let you like
Which wouldn't make a difference, right? Because
no, there's no
it's like who cares? Your character is a who cares character every time anyway.
yeah,
Like they don't
but
do anything.
but the thing that gets what's funny is the female main character had like the choices you have like for dialogue is way more smartassy and way more like characteristic. So she has more of a personality compared to the main character. But the thing that's weird is that since this is the only Persona game where you can have an S Link with like the male party members, uh, there there's a romance with Ken, which Ken is like an elementary school character. Like he's in elementary school, and the game like you can like have a romance with him, and it's like, and everyone's like, this is like a very like
Come
fucked up
come on.
S-Link. No one likes it. Everyone's like, this is a very like groom storyline. It's like, and every time I hear people talk about it, it's like, don't do the Ken S-Link. Just fucking don't do it. Play the game, but don't do this S-Link. And it's like, okay, like I didn't like it anyway, but it's like, yeah, that's way too like fucking weird. And then Alice never did that ever again. So that's how great it was. They saw the reaction. I was like, okay, we'll never do that again. But it's just 4. I think is just it's really just Alice is wanting that series to kind of get a bigger audience because Persona's been niche before, and 4 it's like we're just gonna make it a bigger audience, and then that's what happened. And that's why Persona 5 has a bigger audience. It's just gonna get bigger and bigger. Persona 6 more anime is gonna be inside it, but 5 has a better story than 4. 4 is just very very mediocre to me. Mediocre on a bad day. But Persona 2 is the last one that feels fucking dark and like serious compared to the other games. I like the art style too. The character designs are way more raw and like not traditional for a modern Persona game. It's unique. But that's Persona 2. You know, we're talking about that. We're talking about Killer 7. We're talking about all kinds of games. I was also gonna say because I brought up Shinji Mikami. I played Vanquish more. I've been replaying that game, and it is such a weird game because I think Vanquish is done by Shinji Mikami because he did some work with Platinum. I'm just gonna double check, but uh that
Shooter, yeah.
it's such a like I wouldn't expect that from him because it's so action heavy and it's so like arcadey. It's the most arcadey kind of game you could get. It has like points. You're just going in, just trying to get better and better scores.
Yeah, there's something about Vanquish was weird to me. Like I got like halfway through it and like I don't know what like something about it wasn't connecting with me. Like I don't know if I've ever learned how to really play the game properly.
That's how I felt when I played on the PS3 when I first played it. I felt like I didn't get the game. I was just kind of playing it just to see the story, and I was like, oh, whatever. Like, it is what it is. I mean, I was mostly playing it because it was a platinum game title, so I was like, I'll just do it. But playing it now, it's like I get it way more. Like you're just sliding around, like doing slow time, and then shooting the weak points, and just kind of dodging around. And since the dash and the slowdown meter is your health meter, it's like you have to like do a lot of balancing with that, and then using the cover system. So it's so like you have to keep moving and keep thinking about stuff that you're doing. They keep throwing enemies at you. I've kind of loved it more playing it again, but I wouldn't say I still don't think it's an amazing game, but it's really good. I would have loved to Vanquish too, to see what they would have done with it.
I think the problem is like it it presents itself as like a typical like Gears of War like over the shoulder shooter type thing, but you're just so not supposed to play it that way.
I
Like you have to like fight the urge to play it like that, and that's why I think I haven't like completely like gotten in the habit of playing the game properly. I think, and probably you're doing the same thing too. I think if you learn how to actually play the game, like it's way more fun than it is. But like you have to fight the urge to just play it like Gears of War.
yeah, and I think that that shows like the era of games at that time, like because Gears when Vanquish was new, it was like Gears was a big thing. Every game wanted to be the next Gears. So I kind of feel like either someone in Sega was like, "We're gonna market this game as if it's Gears, and then get that audience to buy this game."
Yes.
But now that like since there's all this years so detached from that, because now that I'm playing it, it's like I'm actually playing it probably the way that's intended. Like I'm actually like moving around. I'm doing like I'm not just sitting behind cover as much. I only go to cover if I'm like dying. Like if I'm like one hit away from death, I just
Right.
go to cover. But other than that, I'm just moving around, just constantly not staying in one place. So I do think that it might be worth replaying that game because there's none of that like stigma with it. You know, even with Bayonetta, like Bayonetta, it's still like yeah, it's a Devil May Cry game with
Even
Witch, but Bayonetta's great though. I love that game. The only thing I don't like about Bayonetta is the fucking gimmicky stages. I hate the fucking gimmicks in that game. I love the combat, but it's like when they have you like just flying a rocket and it's like a one hit kill. Fuck that stage. I hated that stage. I kept dying. It was a piece of shit. I'm playing it again.
you
I'm
you
like
know you
dreading it.
um you must have no nostalgia for Afterburner. I fucking love. Do you know Afterburner, the
No.
the the Sega game? It's a Sega arcade game from like 1989, and that's what that stage plays just like Afterburner, and there's a remix to the Afterburner theme in it.
Uh,
So like
are you talking about Angel
I was
Attack?
completely blinded by nostalgia. What?
Are you talking about Angel Attack?
No, no, I'm saying that
Oh,
level. There's well in
okay.
Bayonetta the first one. There's an entire level that is literally even the enemies the way they come in, or was it
Uh,
Afterburner or Space? Sorry, Space Harrier. It's like Space Harrier. It
okay.
literally is it's designed like the first level of the game.
All right. Because like, uh, for some
You
reason,
never knew this? I
no.
gotta send. I gotta. Maybe there's an.
Because that's what like I'm thinking like because after each stage there's like a mini game you play where it's like you just shoot angels that's like floating around and that's like there's a point system.
Yeah.
That I thought you were talking about that stage. That's why I was confused. I didn't know if like we were talking about the same thing, but uh okay, but we were then. We were talking about the same thing. I thought you were talking about Angel Attack, but I was wrong in that assumption.
No, no, no. I'll send you. I've never looked this up, but I bet there's someone that made like a comparison video, because literally that level in Bayonetta, at least the first one, it has a remix to the music, and the enemy patterns are exactly the same as Space Harrier.
I wouldn't
So it's like I remember playing Space Harrier as a kid, so I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome.
I
So I
wouldn't
wasn't bothered by it at all.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because I think that's even true because I think either a Did You Know Gaming video like said that as well. Like they said like Camille was like because I think I heard like Camille loved that game when he was like going to the arcades a lot when he was younger, and he just put that game as an homage to that
Yeah.
because like because Camille does a lot of like these weird like things like in Devil May Cry 1. Trish's sunglasses are modeled after his sunglasses he wore a lot, like with the rims. That on those sunglasses. I mean, that's just a very minute detail, but uh, he does that a lot. But Bayonetta's great. If only we'll get any information on 3. The only thing we keep hearing is it's gonna come out. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be a nice surprise. It's like why not just say it's canceled? Like just cancel at this point. Like
It's been like 7 years, huh?
yeah, it's been yeah like 2017 I think is when they announced it
Or
because like
no, I mean like since Bayonetta 2 has come out. It was 2014, right?
oh yeah because it was on the Wii U, but they announced it in like 2017 at the Switch reveal event. Like, oh yeah, Bayonetta 3, then like nothing. and all we keep hearing is like it's gonna happen. The only and I think that game's going through a lot of development hell because I think there was some person working on that game that left the company. I don't know what position he had. I don't know if it was the director or like I don't know who it was, but someone working on Bayonetta 3 just left the company, so it's like that could be an issue. I don't know what's gonna happen with that game, but it's like just cancel at this point because and then now it's like there was a report like 2 weeks ago where like Camille was like saying there was some interview and Camille was like annoyed that fans kept asking for Bayonetta 3 like any information. It's like I'm getting annoyed by this. It's like well yeah you announced it and there's nothing. Like of course people are gonna be demanding of like any information. They want the game. Like that's what happens when you announce a game and you don't say
Yes.
anything for years. Like, and that's gonna happen with Prime 4. Metro Prime 4
Right.
is gonna have the same problem probably, but you know, this release gameplay.
Oh, didn't they announce that one 4 years ago too?
I don't know. Because like they announced, I think they announced like 2 years ago. It doesn't match. And this is the other thing with Nintendo fans that drive me up the wall a little bit. Like they keep complaining about Metroid Prime 4, like, oh, Metroid Prime 4 is never gonna come, it's canceled. But it's like this game was released, like, it was announced like like 2 years ago, while Bayonetta 3 is like 4 years ago. Like, there's been more time waiting for Bayonetta 3 news than there is a Prime 4 news, and Prime 4 has a better excuse like that. They've openly stated they've restarted development on that game. Bayonetta 3, it's like they've not said it's been restarting development. It's like it's happening. It's gonna happen. It's like it's this is a different context. I mean, in 10 years, like if 2030 comes out, like sure, I'd agree with the Dread, but it's the same with Breath of the Wild 2. It's like that game's coming out. It's Nintendo. Like Nintendo releases games. They've not had they don't have a track record of like announcing games and just not releasing them. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Fuck it. Gotta just play what's out there right now, huh?
Yeah, we gotta think of the next game for Game Club after Killer 7.
True. Well, now that I think about it, I wonder if you are even gonna beat it next week because because it's so funny. Like playing the game, um, I remembered certain things as I was playing them, but these last few segments, like I remember them vividly because I've already beat it, right? So for some reason, I like the last, like after this stage, the last few, I just zoomed right through them because like I knew exactly what to do. I don't know why it was like muscle memory. It was so weird because I really only played through the game twice in my life, actually.
Okay.
Because you unlock a second mode that's actually worth playing through.
Yeah,
After
Killer
you beat
8.
it.
It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Killer, yeah. Uh,
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I wonder if I think you could beat it if you just like play a couple hours every day. You'll beat it. But we'll see. I guess.
yeah.
I'm excited to see the ending because I don't really remember exactly what happens at the end, but I think I do, and it also just makes no sense. And I'm excited to see what you think about it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna beat the game tonight, and then I'm gonna be neck deep in fan theories next week.
alright, we'll have like a cryptid episode talking about Killer 7 theories. It'll be a rabbit hole video to see what's
Yeah,
there.
I'm about to go down it. I'm about to fucking and I wanna read about like how Suda came up with the game because remember the first discussion we had where it was like I was saying like I think he didn't give a fuck about the gameplay. He was just like I'm gonna throw all these fucking wacky ideas out there and then I'll make the game around it. I don't give a shit.
You should see the videos I sent you about Killer 7. I
I'm not gonna beat it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean after you beat it, don't watch him now, but after you beat him, watch those videos because they do talk about that. He does get into like what like usually because like I've watched his other videos, like I've watched his No More Heroes video and all that. In those videos, he does talk about the development process of those games, so he might go into that as well. That's what I assume because he talked about like Shadows of the Damned. He goes into like how Suda51 kind of hated that game. Like he hated like that. He was at a low point in that development. Like it was to the point where like since that game, it was a collaborative effort between him and Shinji Mikami. If Shinji Mikami wasn't there to like uh help him get through that game, he probably would have like stopped making games after that. Like that would have just ended his career probably because
Well,
that
there's
huh?
well, it was because there was lots of executive meddling. It was
Yeah.
because there's lots of
It was that, but like that kind of like aspect of stuff because he also goes into like what the game was originally going to be as well in that video. So like I think it's gonna 7 videos we get into like a little bit more detailed stuff with that kind of like questions, like why it's designed this way, why like what was he thinking making this game? Like I think his videos kind of go into that kind of mindset with his other with all these other titles. So if you're curious about that, like by the end of the game and you beat it and you still you want to know, like those videos will go into that. But he also goes into the story stuff as well. So
I
it
think
might
he
like
comes up with all these fucking weird ideas. I think he came up with all these weird ideas and he said, all right, someone design some gameplay around this shit.
I feel that there is a reason for this gameplay. Because I can't sit there and think that it's for nothing or that it's just like the game's weird enough. Fuck the gameplay is like the last thing. Like I get that too, but I feel like there's something more going on with the gameplay. Like I think there's something about it that's more that's there. I think there's something there with the gameplay because it's such a specific design. Because I kind of feel like with No More Heroes he designed it specifically just around the A button. With No More Heroes, like oh the A button's like a central focus of the Wii remote. Have that be the A button. Have that be like the all the attack icons. So I wouldn't be surprised if Suda just looked at the A button on the GameCube controller and was like, "Oh, that'll be like the main button to do everything." Like, that button's so big and it's green, it's great. Have that be everything. But I don't know. We'll see. Because I just feel like there's something there that's like I think he he has weird like thoughts with gameplay in that regard. But I don't know. I'll have to see. Like once I beat the game and watch those videos, I'll probably have a better understanding of the Easter egg because I do want to see if there's any trivia for this game
Yeah.
as well.
There must be so many secrets because I realize there's entire scenes you can miss too. Not scenes, but like dialogue and stuff you don't have to see. So
Oh, you know what? I was gonna say, I'm sorry, but I do have to bring up Persona 2 again. There's one thing that that kind of reminded me of
Jesus.
what you just said. Reminded me of it because Persona 2 talks about how like rumors can become true. Like if you spread enough rumors, the thing will become true. Like they introduced this by saying that there's a ramen shop and there's a rumor that she sells weapons, but in reality she doesn't sell weapons. But you talk to the police store or whatever, the police station, and they, oh, are you there?
I'm still here. I don't know
Oh.
what happened. My video just died. I'm still here, I swear.
I was like, oh, I'm talking about Persona 2.
Can you
He
hear
just
me?
leaves. Yeah, I can hear you. Like, oh, I saw Persona
I
just
just
hang
leave.
up. Like rage quit. Like enough
No,
of
I'm
this.
here.
But so like the game goes into like how if you spread enough rumors, that thing will become true. Like if you spread enough rumors about like the ramen shop selling weapons, she will start to sell weapons to you. So it's weird in that regard. Like you can start spreading rumors and you'll get like rewards for doing that. So it's kind of cool, like that it has that kind of gameplay to it. So you beat the principal, you kill like, and the principal just jumps out the window, and you think he's dead or not. A student comes up and says, "What happened to the principal? Did he die?" And it's like you can either say that he left or that he died. I wasn't paying attention to the dialogue options, so I said he died. So he's like, "He died. Oh, that's a shame. I loved him so much. He's such a great principal. I gotta tell everyone that he died." So I'm thinking in my head is like, is this gonna like
Just
mean
a second.
anything to the game?
Did you make
Huh?
I was gonna say, can you drive this man to suicide by saying he's dead?
Well, like after you beat him, like there's a boss fight with him, and after you beat him, he jumps out the window, and it's like the window he jumps off is like the fourth floor of like a school building. So it's like they say like, oh, he could survive that. I'm sure he's fine. whatever. But then a kid just sees that he jumped out the window, you think that he's dead, whatever. So I just said he died, so he could be dead, but I don't know. I'll have to keep playing, but that made me think like, oh, there's like you could probably miss content by doing that as well, but that is interesting. Killer going back to Killer 7
Yeah.
now. Uh, I did not know that because I don't know what scenes I missed. Because that's why like I thought when I shot like that boss fight with the brain people, whatever. I thought you missed it initially, and I was like, oh, that's a missable boss fight, I guess. But I guess it wasn't because like you ran into it as well. Because it
Yeah.
because when you get there, it's like you can kind of go straight or go there, and it's like you you could go straight. You'd think that that'd be like progress, but I am curious. Maybe
No, I think there's dialogue hidden in places that you don't need to see.
okay. I I thank God I just remembered this. So the cutscene at the racket court in the beginning of the Blackburn estate, uh, you see a head that just shows up, and like he's talking to this guy. He's like, oh, I killed your family. Oh, look, here's your daughter's head. And he shows the daughter's head to the guy, and I don't know if I'm wrong or if it's like whatever, but I swear that head is the head that gives you the rings in the game. Because
Possibly. Do
it
you have
kind of looks
okay?
like
So
it.
for final thoughts, do you have any other predictions for what's gonna happen from where you're at? Like,
Because I had a theory about that, and now I slightly forgot it because I think what it was is that because it goes into what you said how like the Smith sees all their like all the ghosts that they've killed, like all the people that they kill, you see their ghosts, and it's weird like, and throughout the whole game you see this girl's head just everywhere, and it's like no one minds it. It's there. It gives you rings all the time, and it says like the things it says is stuff that like probably a girl her age would say, like a teenager or like a young adult woman would say. So that's why I was thinking like because it goes into also like Dan being his mentor. Like Dan could have not Dan, Dan being his apprentice or whatever. Like the old man could have told Dan to kill her, and then like that could have been a scene where like he also killed Dan as well. Like it could have been like a double thing maybe, because it's just this weird to show her head and then hit. That was weird to me a little bit. But I just said this like you don't get a good look at it, and it's also like at a weird angle where it's like it could just be a generic head. It could just been a head that just a girl could have had a hair that was semi similar to it, but I'm not too sure. And that's another thing I'm curious to see if I watch like a video talking about Killer 7 if they're gonna talk about that as well, because I can't be alone in thinking that.
they must talk about all these things, cause like, and like even what you said is like she does. There's one I don't remember which ring she gives you, but she describes some like awful shit where like she basically describes how she got killed,
Oh, I
and she says like because and that was the part where she says like something about her mother and father weren't watching her or something. I don't remember, but I don't know. All this stuff's gonna have to be reinterpreted at the end because, like I said, after you beat this dungeon, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is going on?" Nothing makes sense. So you'll see when you see it.
oh, that's exciting. Because I love weird shit like that. I love when it's like, oh, this might make sense, it might not make sense. Like that's what I love about like David Lynch films and Twin Peaks is like those things make they can make as much sense as you want them to make. Like they might just be random like non sequiturs that go
Yeah.
nowhere, but there's also stuff in there that also means things. So I think the seven is the same kind of deal, and that's why I do think like him like Student 51 going in like a media blackout, like not watching any TV, not like interact with any other form of media. I think also shows into how weird and like nonsensical this game is because he has no like framing that's similar to like because there is I feel like a lot of people who create games or stories subconsciously knowing or not knowing, might be like um influenced by other stuff that they've watched. Like if you watch a movie and then you make a movie and you write a book on your own, you might not be
Yeah.
knowing this intently, but you might be like apping a scene from a movie you saw, but it's still like your own, but it's like it's an homage that you may or may not be like painting or whatever, the same framing device or whatever. So him just not having any form of media that he's like interacting with for him to make this game, I think this it shows how weird it is because it's the framing is it's so unique for what it is, and that's why I think like to a degree it's ahead of its time in how avant-garde, because now we see games that when they try to be art, it's like it's kind of either shallow or it's like very obvious or on the nose, and it's like okay, I get it. Well, this is like no one will get it, and like it can expose people who like are like these fake ass like oh games are art. Oh man, video games are art, and then like and they love like mainstream shit. Give them this game, like what the fuck does this mean? I don't know. Fuck this, and then they walk away. Like you. And this does go into that same debate of is video games art, and this is one of the games that shows that it can be because it's a medium that you can kind of tailor to be whatever. So that's how I feel about
Yeah, I
with
don't know.
that.
I don't know how anyone can ever say. Yeah, I don't know how anyone can ever say video games aren't art. That's just a ridiculous statement. Um, but yeah. Um, all right. I wanna go beat the game.
All right.
Oh, I think that's this one, right?
Yeah, this is a good
What
one.
do we got? An hour?
An hour and 6 minutes. So that's pretty good.
Perfect.
I was afraid we were gonna be like an hour 45 minutes because I thought I was gonna talk way more about Persona 2 than I wanted. But I did a good I did a good size. I wasn't too long. But but yeah, that was
Save it
great.
for another video. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck about Persona.
All right. Bye bye.